Hello everyone, my name is Julia Marcos, and in this video we are going to cover the topic of activities. What I get as a question very often about small-scale partnership is, I've got this beautiful idea and I want to implement it internationally. I've got partners. The topic is amazing and up to date. For example, integration of refugees or working with unemployment levels of young people in rural areas. But what am I allowed or not allowed to do when it comes to the activities in the next 1 or 2 years when the project lasts? So in this video, we are going to check what types of activities are possible to implement, how a timeline of the project can look like so that it makes sense, and what questions you should answer for yourself so that your activity timeline is coherent, and with the help of these activities, you can reach the goals that you put for your project. So I've got a presentation here so that it's visually easier to digest. So my suggestion, let's just jump into it. So here we are with small-scale project activities. And the first thing that I want to share with you is exactly what types of activities there are. First of all, these are international meetings. When I talk about international meetings, I mean kickoff meeting, coordination meeting, or evaluation meetings. These are meetings between partners of partner organizations. So it's not something open. It's not where you engage your participants. Instead, these are the meetings where you want to clarify administrative flow, talk about documents, talk about budgets, talk about the progress. Yeah, evaluate could be midterm result or the end result of your project. It's really more to synchronize. My personal recommendation is to make kickoff meeting always offline. It doesn't matter whether you know our partners from before or not. Yeah, now it's a new moment in time. You have your new project. It could be that you're going to work for the next 18, 20, 24 months together. And it's good to sit down at one table and actually make agreements. When it comes to coordination meetings and evaluation meetings, yeah, this is totally up to you. It could be both online and offline. See what fits project better and what makes sense financially. The next one is international mobilities. When I talk about international mobilities, I mean such formats as study visit or training course, PBA, seminar. These are those KA1 activities that you might know from before. How it works is that it might be that you're developing a certain topic, yeah, or certain methodology, and then you include your target groups, you include participants, and you train them. For example, you want to train youth workers on, I give you the example of my personal project, yeah, of how to run an NGO sustainably. So what was happening is that we invited participants from 4 countries that are partners in the project called NGO Sustainable. And we had 6 days in Greece when we were covering sustainability related topics. Yeah, so once again, this is very simple. This is something that you know from before. These are KA1 mobilities, and they can really exist in KA2 project. The next one is multiplier event. What it means is that this is an event which helps to share the results of your project. Most times, it is called multiplier event or dissemination event. And it can be in the shape of conference or open presentation or online challenge. It's not for participants, and also it's not for partners. This is for crowd outside of your project. Yeah, so who are your target groups outside of the project that you want to engage and share the result of your project? So imagine that you developed a methodology and now you want to share the methodology, let me say, with educators or teachers or youth workers. So they come together for some conference for 50 people and you have an opportunity to share it with them. The next one is ongoing work or project management costs. You might have known from before that in big KA2 projects, yeah, there are certain costs which are 500 euros for applicant organization, 250 euros for partner organizations. Yeah, that are for managing the project. So it's for administration, for paying the person who is a project manager, for investing into something that is ongoing and lasts throughout the whole project. The thing is that it can also be inserted into small-scale KA2. Yeah, what I see it and in what shape it can be, something like mentoring, everyday work, administration. Yeah, this is up to you and how you justify it in the project, but you can have continuous costs in your project that are dedicated, yeah, and that are distributed between every organization. Another one is intellectual outputs. And this is about what you create in your project. Is it a guidebook or online course or digital magazine or platform? Yeah, so what is the outcome? Because in your project, there will be experience sharing between partner organizations. Yeah, but what is there that you produce at the end and you can share with more people? What is a tangible result? How the result of your work will go outside of partner consortium, and can be used by more people. And finally, there are local activities, because after all, small-scale partnerships are about organizations who have a local challenge, and then they come together to exchange experience, to learn from each other, and afterwards to insert or include this expertise back home. So here, this could be some workshops, local meetings, could be, I'm not sure, even like informal meetings and picnics and informal coffees, if it makes sense. And when I talk about informal coffees, it's not that the EU covers your coffee in the local coffee shop, but what I had in one of the projects is that we were working with vulnerable groups that need to be integrated. And in our case, it was Ukrainian refugees. And as an event, informal event to get to know their needs, we organized a picnic for mothers with kids. They came together, they played together, they enjoyed picnic, and at the same time, we had an opportunity to talk to them face to face and see what really they need. Of course, there can be more types. Yeah, it's not limited to this, but here are some examples so that you have in your head what are the options. So now let's see how a project timeline can look. And I will give you the example of my personal project, which is called NGO Sustainable. And the project is about 4 experienced organizations coming together and putting the program to help young organizations or organizations with very little experience or no experience in Erasmus Plus to find a model and run their NGO sustainably. Yeah, we were covering several topics. We were providing mentoring, but let's see how exactly it looked like. So as you see, we start with a kickoff meeting. So it happened in January, more than half a year ago, and it was online because at that moment it made sense and it was very hard to organize offline. So we met together, we had agreements, we went through documentation, through project flow, we saw who is responsible for what, yeah, who are team members that are mostly engaged in this project, how we are going to communicate with each other, how we are going to ensure visibility of this project. Then from February till October, each organization had 2 or 3 local NGOs with a profile of little or no experience or very, very fresh NGOs recently established. And we were mentoring them for 9 months from February to October on the local level. So they became our mentees. We helped them to find the strategy to develop their organizations based on their needs. And then in April, we met all together in Greece. So our mentees came, we came as trainers, and we had a 6-day training course where we were diving deeper into the topics that are relevant to these organizations. Very soon in November, we are going to have a coordination meeting in Poland, and we are going to synchronize how we are standing, what are the results of our mentoring, what are our next steps, how we are going to shoot an online course, how we are going to organize a 5-day challenge to attract attention to our training course, and basically where and when it's going to happen. Yeah, so we really at this moment have certain things that we need to figure out, and we are going to do it in November. After it, we have 3 months for, as you see here, production of project results online and preparation of the challenge. So as I already mentioned, our project result would be an online course on the topic of sustainability. So basically, we put the content, or we take the topics that we delivered in Greece and we want to make an online course from them so that more organizations and more people in Europe can use it, can benefit from it. So we are going to record it. We are going to have additional library and templates and examples. And moreover, we are going to provide support in Erasmus Plus Youth Academy, where people can ask any question they want based on this online course. At the same time, you might know that just creating a course or brochure or platform won't work if you don't tell about it to other people, and not just to other people like your friends, to people who can benefit from it and who would be interested to use it. For this reason, there will be a dissemination activity in March, and it's going to be a challenge. It will be a 5-day challenge where every day we're going to give small challenges connected to increasing sustainability of your NGO. And during this challenge, we are going to talk about the online course that we created, where they can dive into these topics more in depth. And finally, evaluation meeting, April, we're going to see what we reached with this project, what are the perspectives of scaling this project, whether it was success or what can be improved for the next time. Yeah, more or less this way. I have a couple more examples. I'm not going to comment on them now, but I'm going to share with you this presentation. Yeah, and after you can take a look, you can see how activities can be different. For example, for one project, you see that there are quite some 8 activities. Another project is more simple, 5 activities. That's why when I talk about activities, it's really about what makes sense. Yeah, like in the last project, it's really about kickoff, ongoing work, there is a study visit, yeah, and then creation of the guide, and then finally sitting down and evaluating. And a lot of work will be happening, in our own countries. So we really don't need to meet so often. We don't need to come to each other every 2 months, yeah, because in this project it will totally make sense. The last thing from my side is several things that are important when you plan activities. First, coherence in objectives, activities, and results. Yeah, I also give you quotes from guides so that you can match them. What it means? It means that if you put the objective of how to help migrants to integrate into local community, your activities should be supporting your objectives, and your activities should lead to the result that you want to get in the project. If you have objectives and your activities are totally not related, they don't make sense, or they don't bear any added value, most probably there will be a question, why do you have this activity? And not only in your application when an evaluator gives you points, yeah, also later on when you go into depth with partners, you'll be questioning yourself, why did we put these activities? Yeah, why do we complicate ourselves life? Why do we need to travel once again when this trip is not needed? Or why we create an activity with very little impact? Second thing, clarity in project timeline. Yeah, and this is about how your project timeline makes sense. That what I mean is that imagine that you don't have any kickoff meeting, you immediately jump into some training course, which is totally non-coordinated. You didn't make any agreements with partners. You start with this messy training course, and then you produce some guide. And then after it, you meet with your partners. And it's like, what? Does it even make sense? No. Yeah, because first it's about making agreements with partners, with consortium. It's about looking at the project. Yeah, it's about seeing how you're going to create, how could be at the beginning you need a need analysis, or you need to talk to your target groups. Yeah, you need to see what is important to cover. Then you have a beta testing. Yeah, you produce some result, and then with this result you go and get feedback, and then you work on the result again. Yeah, and then eventually you share it with more people. So it's just, if you look at the timeline, it should simply make sense. Yeah, that there is a build-up, that one activity is based on the previous activity, that every next activity, yeah, makes sense in a big picture. And the last one is appropriateness of activities. Yeah, it's about whether this activity is needed. So let me say, if you put some training course and actually your project, let me say, just between partner organizations, and 8 people involved in the project, and the whole idea of the project is mentoring between these 4 partners, and suddenly you make a training course for 24 people and you include some random people from your country. It's like, why? Yeah, why do you have it? It doesn't make sense. So basically the activities should make sense. They should be appropriate for your objectives and results. And the last thing is that in the application form, you will find questions, and with these questions, you will need to describe your every activity. As you have seen before, could be that you have some 5 activities or 7, 8, 10 activities. And then for each activity, you will need to mention duration and what organization is in charge, describe the content, your target group, who is going to benefit from the results, yeah, how this activity is going to help reach project objectives, what is the result of this activity, and describe budget. It won't take much time because also there is not so much space for it, so it should be really concise, it should be really precise, description in short, but at the same time, I mean, remove all the empty words, just go straight to the point. To support you in this, I'm going to share 2 examples of activities from my personal projects so that you can see how this description can look like. But again, yeah, don't make it complicated, just be precise and listen. If there is activities that you can avoid, it doesn't make sense, it doesn't have added value, just don't put this activity in your project. So from my side, that's it for today. I think I shared a lot, and I hope this video helps you to put all your ideas together and see how to create a timeline of activities, how these activities can really fill in all the project duration. Could be after this, you will understand that, okay, our project is too long or too short. It should be 12 months or 24 months. So play with it. Good luck with it, and see you in the next videos.